shining on those memories. And yes, across all time I see you turning the tides. And do you see now our time, our turn? We can still fight like the wind and fire. And wonder no more, that now is the only time your heart is mine. Light has fallen, darkness grows, and yes, we fight for our destiny and fate. New days smiling for the past and future. Break those chains, lead the way, fight with me. And when you wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters again, we are rebels till the end. Rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers, no one can stop us. We are rivals again until the end of time. Show me that you are still the only one that matters for me. I'll be waiting for you. Wait up, open your hands, holding on to your heart. Look inside you. Can you feel it? The sparks in you. And it up, unleash it. Wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters yet again, we are rivals till the end. And rise up, open your minds, hold on to your powers, no one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. Trapping all those fighting souls, but yet across the world I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to see. burning brightly, shining on those memories. And yes, across all time I see you turning the tides. And do you see now our time, our turn? We can still fight like the wind and fire. And wonder no more that now is the only time your heart is mine. Light has fallen, darkness grows, and yes, we fight for our destiny and fate. New days smiling for the past and future. Break those chains, lead the way, fight with me. And when you wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters again, we are rebels till the end. Rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals again until the end of time. Show me that you are still the only one that matters for me. I'll be waiting for you. Wait up, open your hands, holding on to your heart. Look inside you. Can you feel it? The sparks in you. Add it up, unleash it all. Wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters yet again, we are rivals till the end. And rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. Remember the dusk, the lights gripping tightly, trapping all those fighting souls. But yet, across the world, I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come find me. Do you remember who you really are? Show me that you are still the only one for me. I'll be waiting for you. Wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters again, we are rebels till the end. Rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. We will flash, no matter where. We will fight, reaching across time and space. 'Cause you are my destiny to the end. You see the dawn, the flames burning brightly, shining on those memories. And yes, across all time I see you turning the tides. And do you see now our time, our turn? We can still fight like the wind and fire. And wonder no more that now is the only time your heart is mine. Light has fallen, darkness grows, and yes, we fight for our destiny and fate. New days smiling for the past and future. Break those chains, lead the way, fight with me. And when you wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift Show me that you are still the only one that matters for me. I'll be waiting for you. Wait up in your hands, holding on to your heart. Look inside you. Can you feel it? The sparks in you. Ready to unleash it all. Wake up, open your eyes, raising the fist and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters yet again, we are rivals till the end. And rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. Remember the dusk, the lights gripping tightly, trapping all those fighting souls. But yet, across the world, I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come find me. Do
Welcome everyone to the Marvel Rivals Ignite Series Playoffs Day 3, where the stakes have never been higher. I'm one of your hosts, I Run Shib, here with Dogman. How are you doing today, buddy?
Doing good. I'm excited for today's Shib. Today is going to be a huge day for all these teams, right? We're going to see one of these teams qualify for LAN alongside Sentinels and 100 Thieves. Those two teams already are excited, packing their bags for China, but we have more ready, waiting in the wings, man. I'm going to be super pumped to see who qualifies for that LAN.
Not only LAN, but the prize pool, right? We're talking about 70K for the winner, 250K across the board just for the Americas region alone. But you're right. I mean, they're looking for teams to be heading into LAN, but then also right now today, it's about just getting through these initial matches, because it's dangerous. If you lose, you are out, especially for these first two matchups. As we look over at this prize pool, 250 across the board, 70K for first, 35 dropping by 10 after that to 25, excuse me, and then 20 from there on. Man, what a prize pool, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, this is definitely the biggest tournament we've had so far, besides you know, we talk about a certain French Canadian. But now coming back over to the entire playoffs, this is sort of how things have gone in the playoffs, right? We had the group stage double elim, now in the stage 1 playoffs. A lot of teams have gone out so far, right? Nemesis and FlyQuest, two teams people expected to make it deep into the tournament, are removed. So we have to say goodbye to two more teams today, and another one actually if they don't make it toward that lower bracket finals. But regardless, I mean, it's been an incredible tournament, Shib, and I think Sentinels and 100 Thieves, two teams that we've seen constantly throughout the history of Marvel Rivals. The fact that they qualified is amazing. Taking a look at the overall standing, Shib, we also had Rad qualify in EMEA, the first team to do so in the European region. They get 2 slots, and China also has 2 slots. We haven't seen who is coming out of China just yet. I know a lot of people are talking about OUG being a super team, but there's a lot of good teams in China. I know eHome is another one that we can watch out for over there alongside Nova. Meanwhile, in Asia, Reject are the first teams to stamp themselves in their ticket to China. We saw it's surprising because people were talking about Gen G, how good they were. You know, you see Crazy Raccoon, another team that, you know, was able to beat a team like Gen G earlier on. The fact that they got sent down the lower brackets is insane. So it's going to be either Gen G or Crazy Raccoon that we'll see in that slot 2 more than likely. So it's kind of crazy what's happening over there. And then in Oceania, Ground Zero Gaming, the only team to qualify out of that region. But I mean, an incredible team that one has been. They've been kind of consistently doubting or proving the doubters wrong over there in that side of the pond.
Yeah, and first off, very exciting, right? There's still a lot of slots open for teams to try to make their way over to the LAN, but at this LAN is where we're really going to start settling some of these scores, identifying where teams really rank up, and there's no longer that ping discussion where ping now comes into play. It's why you maybe won a round, etc., etc. There is no excuses. It's all about who shows up under the moments. We talk about bright lights, but there are no brighter lights than being there in person in front of everyone. I cannot wait to see who makes it and see how things shake out.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think on top of that, maybe to add on to it a little bit, I mean, there's that topic of what characters or even what heroes are better in that environment with no ping, right? That's always a discussion that you said with the ping. And to just sort of elaborate even further, I mean, it's because of things like obviously the pressure of having a crowd, but also, I mean, the fact that some characters in their entire play style kind of improves on LAN, right? It seems to be that, you know, shots connect easier, right? You don't have to worry about that potential latency. So all of these sort of things definitely add up.
Yeah, and you mentioned some unique compositions. Every region seemingly has some sort of change, something they like to run that's more consistent across the region. I'm curious to see how that's going to match up as well. But I know we do have someone from another region coming here shortly for an interview. Very excited to ask some questions there. But before we do that, the games we're going to be witnessing here first, we've got Techie Shroud X, but before that, Ego Death and Envy, going to be a rematch for both sides, both of which had a more favor. The rematch, you know, the initial round went heavily in the favor of both sides there. Ego Death losing to Envy, and Envy not even banning out that Panther. You can see the breakdown here. Ego versus Envy off the rip like we discussed. Techie and Shroud X after that. Both of these games are going to be very exciting. And then what do you know, the rematch of the century, Sentinels and 100 Thieves. That story just keeps writing itself, and we'll find out who is going to be match 4 as these games develop.
Yeah, all these storylines are definitely exciting to watch. I mean, Ego Death, like you said, versus Envy, gonna be pumped to see that again. And then yeah, I mean, Sentinels and 100 Thieves, two teams that always seem to find each other in those finals, and it's happening again. I mean, you talked about how was it Kevin been right, he's been cooking, bro. He's cooking up since season 1 MRC, and now over to the Ignite series doing the same stuff. So it's gonna be exciting to see who comes out on top in that series.
Absolutely, and I'm sure the fans on both sides are going to be loud in the chat. That obviously will be pressing forward tomorrow as we head into the grand finals too.
See that there was I think it was Sentinels fans or 100 Thieves fan that like they were talking crap to FlyQuest fans and stuff in chat. There's a lot of fun, friendly banter that goes on. I kind of, it's not good to fully promote that. No toxicity towards each other, obviously, but I think it's always good, just a little bit of light, friendly banter back and forth, right?
Yeah, fan bases are developing, right? But I'm sure that it's going to spark a little bit of controversy between each other. But it's healthy for the entire environment of people starting to find teams that they enjoy watching, players they enjoy watching, and we're finding more and more of those players as the tournament goes on. I've obviously seen a lot of new talent here showcase how strong they could be as we get into our first match here. Obviously, someone relatively new to the discussion, Self, looking really good on that Panther, bringing Panther back into the meta, having teams now wanting to practice Panther. It's stuff like that constantly shaking up the scene is great for the scene, and it's a ton of fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think the biggest point is that original point that you mentioned, the fact that the scene is so young and there's so much development going on right now. And I think on that, the pro players in a very similar situation. I mean, there's a lot of young talent still has a chance in the next stage in like FlyQuest and have energy. We talked how good that guy is, and now he's out of the tournament. And then when we talk about other players like that are still in the tournament in Tap and in Self, a lot of definitely top talent still in this tournament, still available, that are definitely the future of Marvel Rivals esports.
Yeah, and we're going to be diving into a whole lot more of that as the day progresses. But before we do, we have Stephen Strange himself. Boger, welcome in, man. How are you doing?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Real quick, just to start this off here, man, I've got to ask, obviously you played in the EMEA region. You've been hands-on there. You've got to witness the teams firsthand. But my question to you, I don't know if you've had a ton of time watching the Americas region. Is there anything major difference, any difference in terms of composition or strategy that you're seeing run over here?
Ooh, in terms of composition and strategy, I think, I haven't watched too much America. I think, though, America likes to play a little bit more different things and do a little bit more silly things. I think EU is more, at least from my experience, pretty clear-cut on what people want to play, what the meta is, and what people force, and then people don't really deviate too much from it. That is my personal experience. I feel like in America, you guys sometimes try a little bit different strategies here and there, right? In EU, you don't really see much difference. At least that is my personal experience.
Awesome.
Well, to maybe take a step back as well for you personally, I know that since the elimination of Schmuggus, rest in peace, sorry by the way. I mean, it was an incredible fight you guys put up. But speaking of you guys specifically, what have you been up to since the Ignite series? What have you been doing? Just co-streaming, kind of vibing on the backside?
I think we co-streamed last week, the entire gang, the entire team Schmungus, so that was fun watching the matches together. It was pretty hype. Other than that, I've been just kind of chilling. I think everybody, because I'm currently in LA, so I haven't been able to watch the EU games, but I think the rest of the gang is still co-streaming together doing watch parties.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. Yeah, you mentioned RIP Schmuggus, obviously a ton of fun to watch you guys. The question I have following up on that is, are there any advice you'd give to teams as a team that's been through the ringer, or is it, showcasing how strong you are as a team and then, obviously getting knocked out?
Don't be afraid to play to your strengths. Don't always adhere to what everybody else plays, because it might not work for you. And I think just have fun. The person that enjoys walking usually walks a lot further than the person that does it because he has to. So
awesome.
If you have fun, I feel like you play better.
I agree with that.
Heads up. That makes a lot of sense. And I think, by the way, Boger, I did a little bit of scouting on your own, YouTube page and stuff, checking you out. I noticed that you seem to trash talk your teammate a lot in Necros.
Yes.
It seems that every other video you've not necessarily clickbaited, but it's like, oh, Necros is the worst teammate of all time. You posted that 4 days ago, and I even went back like 2 years ago. I found like your fourth video on your main channel is I hate Necros. So can you maybe talk about that back and forth between you and your apparent rival that is your own teammate?
Have you played with him in a team ever? He goes, you know what he does? He plays all the meta characters. So he plays Torch or Psylocke, and then he gives up after a week and says this is a BP map and just insta-logs BP or Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man map, guys. And then you ask him, why don't we play Torch? It's because it's a BP map, and then he goes 0-4. So I think he deserves it.
So you're saying the reason why Schmuggus is out of the tournament is because the Human Candle himself threw your guys' games on Black Panther. Is that what you're saying?
The Human Candle decided that he wants to be the Black Panther that one game, and then we lost. No, he actually played well in BP, but I have a feeling that maybe if he played a little bit more meta characters, it would be a good thing.
Yeah, I caught him as a teammate during his Ultron wave, but he was playing. It was a ton of fun to play with him. But speaking of more obscure characters that is like to be run, my question to you is, who is your most overrated and underrated hero in Rivals right now?
Overrated is a tough question, I'll be honest. Overrated, I think that is actually really hard, I'll be honest. Because I have a feeling all the characters that are being played are absolutely broken. I think Loki, Luna, I think Mag, Emma. Yeah. I think maybe it has to be one of the DPS characters. I think, okay, I'll be honest, I think it's a little bit unpopular opinion, but I think if your team plays correctly and you have a Loki, I think Psylocke can't really do much. I think if you guys stack up together and you match the Psylocke, her ultimate can't do as much. Especially if you save your lamps and stuff and you guys stack up so you don't have to waste your support. Obviously there's a lot of nuances, and then I think who is the most underrated character in the game right now? I just gotta go with Scarlet Witch right here. We won one Doctor Strange with Scarlet Witch. I just do it for the voice. No. Scarlet is bad. I honestly don't know. I'll be honest with the most underrated character. You know what? I will say this: Squirrel Girl. I think Squirrel Girl can work on attack, especially if they play Groot. You can break first point pretty easily. I think if you're attacking. I think I would say I think especially if they. Yeah, I think if they play like triple tank or they play Groot or something, and you just need to cap first point fast, I think Squirrel will be able to apply a lot of pressure.
I love it.
What do you think?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of
opinions.
I think we saw in your region as well. Did you see Orion's Crosshair, the Squirrel Girl?
Oh, yeah, I saw that one. We talked about it.
Yeah, that was crazy. That's,
I think it can
definitely
work.
next level.
The AC-130
It's a
Crosshair.
cheese pick, but can work. Yeah, especially the Crosshair, that can work.
Especially that crosshair, yeah. I've got to see you use it. Yeah. By the way, Boger, I mean, a little bit of a change of topic and back maybe a little bit to Necros. I know this is probably too much of Necros, but I mean, you clickbaited too, so it's fine, right? Surely. Like when Necros went on that major rant about supports, as we all remember, as strategist players like 6 months ago, do you agree with your teammate Necros? Do you agree with the hot take that support players and strategist players are boosted demons, can't play the game, they're all trash, and maybe suck at the game? What do you think about that, Boger?
You're kind of putting me on the spot here. I think
you could use a PR response if you want.
I think no, I don't need a PR response. I think there's a lot of characters in the support category that are very easy to get value on and don't really require much thought. But I think it's easy to play but hard to master. I think a good Luna can stand out from an average Luna, but it doesn't take much to get value on Luna or Cloak and Dagger. So I think that is the point. I think there's way more people that just pick up the character and do the bare minimum and don't really push to be better, and then they complain when they lose, versus, for example, if you play BP or Spider-Man, because you need to be very precise with what you do, and if you don't do it, you just don't get value. While when you play Luna or Cloak, you can just hold mouse 1, then press Q.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's like a little bit of like an individual's problem rather than like an entire role.
I think it's for the individual characters, especially like characters like Rocket or Luna. I don't think it is low skill to play Loki. I don't think it's low skill to play Adam. But I think Rocket and Luna are more of those characters that he might have been speaking about personally.
Touche. Good answer. And we have time for one more question, a question I love asking. If you had any hero that you'd love to be added to this game, who would it be?
Give me Deadpool. I think that would be a fun design. I think
for sure
Deadpool purely because I want to see how they implement him and the whole thing about him being immortal. I think that would be a really fun challenge for the dev team to add that character. And I think it will also break the internet if they add Deadpool. I think it will really make the player base skyrocket quite a bit. It will be insta-log every game Deadpool. And it would be really funny if he broke the 4-4 mid-game and like made like, I don't know, Necros references or something. That would be funny as fuck.
Like comes through the screen like a flashbang. You can't see your screen.
Yeah,
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome answer. Well, it's been a ton of fun talking to you. Thank you for some great responses, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Alrighty.
Thanks, Sir Boger. Appreciate it. Over there in LA, back over on our side of the pond. I wonder what that tissue box in the back is for. But anyways, next
That's
coming
crazy.
up, Shib, we got some incredible games, man. I mean, it's gonna be so much fun today. I'm sure Boger's gonna be sitting back watching them as well over on, like I said, in our side of the pond on North American region in this area, the superior region for a lot of other players. Here, you know, it's interesting, right, Shib? That discussion, you know, which is the best region in the entire world. We really don't know right now. It seems like everybody is assuming their region and just knows what they're doing and is just best. So I don't know. We'll see what happens when we get to that land phase.
Yeah, and you know, you talked about exciting matches coming up. I'm with you. We're going to find out who's the strong region, but right now I want to see who are the teams that are going to make it for our region as we press into our first game. Ego Death versus Envy. This is going to be an insane matchup. It is a rematchup, right? Last time Envy electing to not ban the Panther at all, and instead, you know, actually take home that W. And you can see our breakdown of what we expect here. The only real difference between you and I. Whoa.
Oh, wait. No, I wanted to. Oh, geez. I need to recorrect. Listen. I gotta flip my script right now. Hold up. I said the Ego Death one is crazy. First of all, we all kind of agree. I think we're split. It looks like 100 Thieves with Vicky and Cozy. You and I thinking that Sentinel's gonna win, and yeah, you and I thinking Sentinel's gonna win. But on the last one, I'm surprised all of us are going with Shroud X over Envy. That is, well, I guess because Ego is gonna win. In my head, I don't know. Everything doesn't make sense over here in North America. That's the point I'm trying to make. So you can't hold us to wait. Is that, by the way, is that number next to us? How many predictions we've gotten right throughout the whole tournament?
Probably. Yep.
That's
I think
crazy. That's crazy.
I mean, there's a strategy now to us making predictions and then just flipping them the opposite direction. So that's something to keep in mind as you see some of these here, because that's just how this tournament has gone, which goes to speak, you know, it speaks to the fact that all these teams, paper thin margins between the skill level, it's any given day in these matches. And I think that has been showcased every day of this tournament these last few weeks so far. And you know, I think it's no different as it goes into this first match. Obviously, I was just talking about prior to this breakdown how Envy, they didn't ban the Panther. They just built a composition that looked really good into dive. They played that Groot, that Loki. They went double flyer with Ultron and Torch, and stuff like that is very difficult to handle as a Panther composition. And you can see they went 2-0 against them and took home the first matchup. The question is, has Ego done their homework?
I think the thing is, Ego is just improving, right? It's scary. Like, we saw them almost beat 100 Thieves on certain maps, right? They did a good job, specifically in Hell's Heaven, winning that first map, setting up a potential, you know, good game with 100 Thieves, which it was. You know, last night, it was so much fun, the last game of the day, and it was a back-and-forth battle. Right now, Ego Death sent down 100 Thieves moving forward, but regardless, this Ego Death team is scary. Even if you've beaten them before, it's something you have to watch out for. I know I was talking to Nuck before in Shroud X, and he was like, low-key, Self might be the best Human Torch in the game. So a lot of people have faith in this guy, and I think you and I, Shib, we can all agree. Same thing with Cozy and Vicky, how good that guy is on Human Torch and, you know, on Black Panther as well.
Yeah, he's not afraid to pull out those unique picks. We saw Hawkeye a few times. Obviously, that was more consistent before the change in that.
Go run and do something real quick. I'll be back, chat.
I do think that Self is a very strong player. Absolutely. The one thing to keep in mind is that, you know, they've kind of fallen into this pit of being the dive team, which I think is something that teams have learned together to be, you know, how to counter it, right? They're building compositions against it, but they do have the ability to switch things up. As you see the breakdown here, Sambo, Soko, Zaytek, Self, Momentum, and Far, a very strong team, you know, known as the underdogs, the new team on the scene, unsigned, looking for organizations. And they just, you know, they've been looking really good every game, as you see here, Self on that Torch, like you mentioned.
Yeah, Self's been that guy, but it's besides him, it's an entire team, right? We definitely sung Self's praises a lot. Definitely watch his streams. By the way, he started the stream recently on Twitch, and by God, is that guy? I know we don't want to like talk about their games too much, but he has like one of the most Zoomer modern day accents of all time. Like I've told you, Shib, like this guy's like, guys, like we're literally trolling. Like what are we doing here? You know, like he's like that same sort of kind of, I'm not gonna say whiny voice, but he has a certain accent to him, you know, and that's sort of the charm, I suppose, with him and this team, and that they're all, you know, so grouped around him, and then also just playing around him with Sambo on the Venom. Venom has looked amazing. Everybody else as well. Zaytek, I think, has been constantly leveling up. This guy has improved to such a high level alongside their backline of Far Momentum. I mean, we can't sing their praises enough. I think the strategists of this team are also amazing. The whole team truly is good, especially for, like you said, Shib. I mean, they're an unsigned roster looking to get signed. So the fact that they're as good as they are is very impressive.
And then we shift focus over here to Envy, Cal, Speedery, Kaluj, Window, Nero, and Month. And we've said it 1,000 times, the sheer talent on this team across the board is in the conversation for the very best in each role. It's just a matter of, can they figure it out as a unit? And they looked much better yesterday. After the initial few losses, they started figuring it out. They had Cal playing a bunch of different roles. Honestly, you saw him on all three in that series, but he was on the bench in the first few games. And we obviously had an interview there with Cal where he said he wanted the ball. Put me in, coach. After the first two losses, came in, started on strategist, switched over to the duelist role, and just started popping off and looking really good. Obviously, the Vanguard like Kaluj is insane as well. The entirety of this team, like I'm talking about, is very, very strong. Speedery, one of the best flyers. Nero, an incredible Ultron and backline. Month, an awesome strategist as well. And then you've got, we talk about the sub. Even NK can come in and perform in virtually any role as well. So this team is just very well rounded. But, can they, does history repeat itself? Can they do this again?
They definitely have a good shot. I mean, it could be done again, but you know what? Like, it feels like predictions. It feels like talking about which heroes are good because we saw Iron Man and stuff for the Sentinels game. It just feels like everything kind of gets thrown out the window when we enter these matches in the newest patch and the newest edition of this game. And that's even crazier to think about that we'll probably have a patch between now and the new hero, a potential new hero to come out between now and the midseason. So, I mean, this game is wild. We talk about it, Shib, how many changes come through, how the bans as well has been massive for a lot of these teams. So, I mean, who knows, man? It's tough to make a prediction when we talk about these two teams. I'm sure the chat's even going to be conflicted as well.
Yeah, the ADHD and all of us loves hero shooters, but we love hero shooters like this, like Rivals, that is bringing these new heroes, these new patches at a very fast pace. Just a team that cares about constant updates. He makes the team stay on their toes. We've talked about that a lot offline, you and I, that teams need to be versatile because things are constantly changing. But Exhibit A, when we talk about Ego running that Hawkeye and then unable to do that in the future just because that team up is no longer as valuable.
Yeah, no, that character, I think, has sort of not fallen off a cliff necessarily, but it's tough to really play him a lot. Which we did actually, it's funny, we actually saw it this morning, Z10 in their final match before getting eliminated. They played the Hawkeye to no avail. But now today, Ego Death against Envy definitely could be a viable option. Envy, ooh, maybe they're just immediately gonna get rid of that Black Panther, like you said, Shib. That could be a smart decision considering we've seen the consequences of giving Self that hero.
It's funny though, because the last time these teams met, they knew Self was, really good on that Panther, but they elected to not ban the Panther and instead still took home the win, and it looked really good across the board. They only lost one map inside of the domination, and outside of that, just didn't really struggle much. Actually held them on .1. So they played a convoy map. I believe, I'm like 99% sure it was Central Park. Yeah, it was Central Park.
Yeah.
And they held them on .1. So they looked really solid even without banning the Panther. I'm surprised they're doing it now. I thought it was just something that, because in the end of the day, when you're banning that Panther, it is net value because it's a hero that maybe shouldn't always be banned, right?
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that point. That character, using a ban on that hero can definitely be detrimental in the overall theme, the overall scheme of the macro in the ban phase. But just to kind of maybe go back to what Boger was talking about in our interview, it's like, play where you're comfortable on too, right? Like we've seen Amazing pull at the Iron Man just out of a last second flip out, what Kurova talked about yesterday, how, they just were like, okay, let's just play Iron Man, screw it. And it kind of works. So some teams better at playing certain heroes than others. And you can see Ego Death taking advantage of that Black Panther ban, going for that Human Torch Protect on their side, getting rid of that Ultron that Envy loves to play as well. So both teams definitely targeting each other specifically rather than the overall meta.
Yeah, one thing Ego doesn't do a lot of, they don't really run those mainstream vanguards too much, because obviously you look over and you see these teams running the Venom. They're not afraid to be aggressive, but that could be a detriment. So that's why you see them leaving it open here, because they know they probably won't make that choice. They don't play that strange. The ultimates are just far less valuable not having those two heroes out there.
You know, not to rag on Boger, but I'm thinking about this now. Like I don't know what he meant. Like when he said North America plays like pretty like atypical things, like crazy stuff. Dude, in EMEA today we saw Hulk and Venom in the same like Vanguard lineup. So I don't want to hear it that EMEA doesn't play wild stuff, because they definitely do. And Envy locking that Emma. They think that character can maybe perform a little bit better than that Mag, because it's not banned on both sides. You're right, shit. They're going for those late Vanguard Protect super on in the draft, or super late on the draft system.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I also think EMEA runs Hulk far more than we do here. Obviously, we have some strong Hulks across a few teams, but outside of that, it's almost consistent over there in every single map. As we see it locked in now, heading in to map 1 on Burnin' T'Challa. Domination, we talk about a lot. It's a very, very important to win that first fight if you want a better chance at taking at least the first map section of Burnin'. But outside of that, it's all about climbing back an ult advantage, as we see Cal holding on to that Hela. A choice between Punisher and Hela we're seeing a lot, but now that Punisher's gone, gonna make the play there.
Yeah, I want to see what they do, and it's cool to see that, you know, back on board T'Challa, Cal is back in the lineup instead of NK. NK is really good as well. I mean, like, he's like a Bucky player for sure. It's tough that he did lose those 2 matches, but I don't know if it was entirely his fault. Regardless, Cal coming back into the lineup, for him, I imagine in his head, he's just looking to not let it go, right? If you use it as motivation in his head, NK is a great player. I've always thought of that, that he can definitely play to a super high level. But Cal, from what we've seen, definitely is that consistency that you would want out of a top tier duelist. Now coming into it, Shib, what were your prediction? You thought Envy's going to win 3-2 here? I think I'm the only one that thinks Ego Death is going to win today, correct?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, you're the only one who has ego on this one. I think Envy has, they performed really well on this team last time, and they've learned just from seeing it there, not banning that Emma or Mag. They're not too afraid, because they know that Ego, they don't have a lot of experience running that Emma, so it's just not even worth the ban. As you see Kaluj and Window getting that Emma and Mag combination, which at this state in the meta is very strong, at least from what we're seeing here in NA. Samble, though, going to be on that Venom, seeing some value there, just the ultimates. It has found some big ultimates, but not nearly as impactful in the grand scheme of things on picks.
And it's fun to see that we do have that team up alongside Mag and Emma, like you said. And speaking of Magneto, I mean, this character, according to our producer Michael, has been picked 51 times, most out of every other character in terms of the lock phase. So interesting to see how the dominance of Magneto has impacted the region of North America.
And we do begin with the fight early, just looking for spacing and owning this coverage. Cal with a nice pick on momentum there. That's a nice start here for Envy. Make that 2 as Zatex goes down, and that's enough space early on as Cal's keeping the pressure up. Kaluj on Ahsoka, and numbers are falling, and early on here, Envy is going to own this point as they hold on and just start up the ticker.
That is insane that Envy now get to play the Loki alongside Luna Snow, seen as one of the best back lines in the entire game, alongside Emma and Magneto, one of the other craziest front lines of the game. So interesting that Ego Death sort of let those go through in that ban phase, meanwhile having to play something alongside that Venom. They like you said, Shib, earlier, Samba loves to play that character, go for those one-shots alongside the dive. So curious to see how it pans out. Right now, Envy in the lead of the point.
Yeah, Ego has Coach Jitward, who did make some. I like the decision against, going after Terra. They're making a unique decision on 100 Thieves in a different banning phase that almost, looked really strong for them at first. Obviously, let through some strategists that were strong, like Harvey's Loki, which ended up biting them in the end. But still, those unique decisions. So maybe we're not understanding something here. I mean, I'm sure, we'll have that discussion if they do proceed with this win. Up in the sky we go with Window. Do we see the dunk into the back line? Waits out the crystal. What a throw there on a momentum. Window with an early pick. And once again, Envy up in numbers at the start here. Self up in the sky, trying to find value with Speedery onto Soko with the dance of the butterfly. The Cutterfly always finding value here for Speedery as Kalush takes out Self.
Yeah, right now, Envy's looking just dominant. I mean, just kind of destroying Ego Death, and they also get speedily on the Psylocke. So many characters, so many players of Envy right now on their comfort picks, and it just turns out to be some of the comfort picks are absolutely insane this patch. Zatex swapping back over to the Hela. He feels like he has to match Cal, but right now, 70% of the board. You have pretty good ultimates in the bank, but it's a matter of how can you use them right now. Envy, they'll be playing back around Nero and his Fate of the Worlds. We'll see if anybody can live outside of that ultimate coming through from Sample.
Yeah, it's deep right now. 83%. It's one fight territory on the retake. Should they lose from alt advantage? Ego is up in alt advantage here. We'll see if they can get value up. Momentum gonna copy. Didn't see the choice yet. Soko holding on here, ready to launch that meteor if need be. And there is the Psionic Seduction. A ton of Qs being popped now. Will this land? You gotta break that shield. No, you don't. When you take that much damage, Soko onto Nero. That's a nice start here for Ego, who needs to shift this momentum as they're holding on to 99 on the side of Envy. Zatex on a Cal, and that is going to be the trade. The Hella battle is won there by Zatex, and they are now going to keep the pressure on. Another pick here on a Kalush shortly. Samble on a month. Down goes Window from Zatex, and there we go. Ego finding their footing and trying to get some percentage here.
Yeah, desperately needed indeed, and that was a huge pick onto Nero. And also, it's interesting that we do have that Doctor Strange get through, because I think last time Envy did sort of prioritize the protection, or rather ban of the Doctor Strange on certain maps. So both teams have that opportunity to teleport back towards that point. Meanwhile, Ego Death do have the invisible boundary alongside the Supernova. Envy, they can react to it. They do have Loki and his clones alongside those crystals to stay alive. We'll see how they react alongside Window. Could potentially connect with that Meteor M onto Soko, or onto Self.
And alt advantage heavily in the favor of Envy on this fight, but Self going to get out there with the Supernova, just taking that space and trying to buy some time. 40% here, but not even halfway to the opposition. Self holding up in that sky. We talk about how strong of a torch Self can be, but it's a little more scary. Luckily does have that shield from Invis, but a little more scary into a Hella, obviously just applying pressure. But if anyone's going to be in the sky against a Hella, it should be the torch. Here comes the Meteor M. Doesn't land from downtown. It does not, as they do pull out those crystals. Cooldown is a little bit of a nice trade there. Window onto Far. That's a good start here for Envy, who wants to retake. Speedery on a momentum. Alt advantage now in the favor of Ego. Can they turn this back around? Speedery finds a second, make that 3 as Window finds Zatex and Cal on Ensemble, and now they're in the danger zone. Not 100% sure if Strange was banned, but if not, that needs to be chosen, and it looks like it's not going to happen as Envy takes point 1.
Unfortunately, team wiped too much time off the bank, and the overtime was ticking down, so that's not going to come through in that map. But now we go to Stellar Spaceport. Up 1 right now is Team Envy, because they disengaged that Supernova. I mean, they just kind of walked away. They understood they had a lot of time to work with, which is kind of rare to say when we talk about domination because of how fast things move. But because they got to 99, just go for that reset. They had time that is disengaged Self's ultimate. Then we could see Window save his Meteor M for the Hella ultimate on the opposite side. The Goddess of Death from Zatex pretty much entirely negated. And overall, just really good work getting out those Stratus ultimates alongside Speedily coming through, forcing the invisible boundary after the crystals were forced for momentum. So right now, I mean, just clinical from Envy. Not panicking is the big thing, and just sort of taking their time, slowly but surely enabling themselves to take the point. You know, they do sort of have that better backline duo technically than the Invisible Woman. So because they were able to force Ego Death onto these other heroes, play more around their torch, it's resulted in Envy getting a lot of space in other departments.
Yeah, we had a conversation with Cal, and Cal said, I'm getting to China one way or another. The confidence is clearly showing here as they are doing their job keeping Self at bay. No final hits there for Self at the first map, and we are going to press forward. Alt advantage going to be on the side of Ego. Talk about getting that point early. That can be important. Speedery playing lights out right now, 11-0. Very terrifying to go against the Psylocke, who can clone up with the V button and makes that insta KO much more viable and much faster. It's terrifying to go against a very strong Psylocke that does not miss with the clone out.
If we talk about top Psylocke, he's definitely the top or one of the top alongside Tap. Now coming to the point. Oh no, Kalush getting deleted. Fate of the World is a little bit too late from Nero, resulting in his Emma Frost going down.
And Ego does have point early, and they are going to drop Speedery, holding on to the rest of the Qs. Nero, like you said, just slightly a little bit too behind. Cal going to find Far, though. They may be able to retake this quickly and be up in numbers, but Ego holding on to that point early. Alts roughly even in this next fight. Here comes the Meteor M. Up it goes. The space ball special doesn't land, and downtown it does as momentum goes down. Cal going to find Self to Window onto Zatex. Even more value, and these meta vanguards here for Envy are really showcasing how strong they can be when you're running this duo. This Emma with the Mag. Double bubble and the double split there for Psylocke. Such a threatening duo.
Yeah, I think we talked about how good, like you said, that this duo is, but also, yeah, I mean, just Window Legacy game, it feels like, you know, earlier on, having a big Meteor M, finding pickups in the middle of fights. You talked about it, shit, perfectly. I think this guy really is an insane Magneto player and has taken full advantage of his hero.
Yeah, Window is playing lights out right now, finding fights in the neutral, just these right clicks landing. You just see the patience on the left click. I get asked a lot, do you just hold down the left click while you're fighting with Mag? No, you got to be patient and shoot when you are, like when you see an opportunity. Don't let the game shoot for you. Zatex finds Speedery early though, and Ego now up in numbers, but still not holding point, roughly only 10% above. Self on a Cal is a good start here again. Ego does have Soko's ultimate here. Will we see a good meteor? Will the meatball land on the back line? Just fighting over point now, a lot of trading and damage. Self dealing so much damage. Down goes Window, Muffin, Kaluge, and Ego now retakes the point. Speedery trying to find one and does. Zatex goes down. Momentum turns it back on Speedery, and now Ego will get this point back at 31. And these fights are so back and forth as we see ult advantage going to be roughly even in this next bout.
And pressure is building, right? This is all or nothing for both of these teams. Map number 1 is huge in terms of gaining a momentum advantage over the other team, and also qualifying for land, because if you don't win today, you're going to have to go back into the next stage and try again. So right now for Team Envy, looking to close out, but they have to come back through, cap the point over Ego Death, who has a good bank of ultimates ready to go.
And the engagement begins. Ego Death up with 4, and here comes the dance floor. Somble getting ready for the feast. You will see that damage boost switch shortly. Trying to get a pick there, but up goes the Meteor, trying to stop that a little bit, because, you know, if they're setting up that play, it's a little easier to land that Meteor. And here it goes from Soko fighting Cal and Month. In return, Speedery onto Self. Numbers are still up here for Ego, who are holding on to the point at 80%. Can they take map 2 and push this to map 3? Kaluge turns it. Speedery finds Soko too, and now Envy is doing a good job owning this point. Window taking out Zatex. Wow, what a switch.
Yeah, that Psionic Seduction was massive from Kaluge. Just came through on the backside. You saw that switch of, you know, target focus towards the back left side. I mean, everybody's low, but the sort of disengage from Envy worked out again. I mean, they're so good at just kind of walking away, getting the health packs, making sure they're allowing their teammates to come through and support them if they're in a tough fight. In Ego Death, I mean, they just sort of got baited into Kaluge's ultimate. So right there, we see another reason why Emma Frost and Magneto just pop off. So right now, Envy sitting back defensively, have that Goddess of Death ready to go. Far does have the invisible boundary alongside that Supernova. We'll see if they can create space for it, though. I want to see this invisible boundary maybe more towards that point, but it's going to be hard to do it as Envy has a lot of pressure.
And here comes the Supernova directly on the point, taking that space. They drop back together. Cal finding Somble early is huge for the side of Envy, as the numbers are now back in their favor. Q's being popped. Speedery on a far, and they're in trouble through the boundary. Speedery and get Collusion. Window now finding value. Cal onto Self, and that is the danger zone. That could be enough here, as they will not be able to touch, and Envy are going to take the entirety of map 1. Somble touches. I might have spoke too soon. Can the team get here? Somble falls to Month, and now they're going to be down in this next fight, as it is again back in the danger zone. They do make that switch to Strange in time. Great touch there, but they won't have numbers. Can they hold on? Speedery holds on to the Q, and here it goes. Down goes 1. Zatex make it 2, 3, as Speedery gets a quad to end it and take map 1.
What a game number 1 for Envy, and that is a statement game considering they lost this map versus FlyQuest in the lower brackets earlier on, and to win it 2-0 with Cal coming through, and that was just such a well-timed ultimate from Cal as well. I mean, he was about to go down to Self, coming through with that right-click combo in the Human Torch, but he just used the ultimate to sort of save his own life, then fly back to a health pack. So I feel like Cal has definitely improved in terms of ultimate usage throughout his career so far in Marvel Rivals. We'll see if he can keep it up, and we'll see if Envy can keep it up, though, because that game number 1, I think they got a lot of what they wanted, right, Shiv? I mean, they protected the Storm in case they did want it. They still got to play Psylocke alongside Emma Frost, so it felt like Ego Death in terms of their ban phase maybe wasn't perfect. I mean, they got rid of that Punisher, they got rid of Wolverine, but it felt like it wasn't really dictated towards the side of Envy and their strengths. But it's tough because you're against a team like Envy, who it seems like are really improving at a flexible, at their flexibility right now, Shiv.
Yeah, I just don't, like, you know, I see the learning, because they struggled last time into that Storm Ultron combination, but leaving both of those Vanguards on the table and allowing Speedery to play a fully unleashed Psylocke is just asking for danger. And they, you know, you see it there, a ton of value in the neutrals almost every time there from Speedery. So I think they had something like 15 finals, looking really, really good off the rip here. But we do say domination is very much anyone's game. So will things change as dive gets more prevalent as we head towards combo and convergence?
I think it might. I think it definitely might. As we move forward, you're right. I want to see, you know, what depends on which heroes they're going to let through. Ego Death, I think there's a lot to focus on Team Envy's side. So we'll see if they can focus up. We talked about how teams will think domination maybe is that first like feel map. You know, you got to see what's sort of good. You know, what you can play. As you know, Envy right now, obviously that game number 1 was huge. I mean, massive in terms of momentum shift. Just to keep that momentum on their side as well. Winning on domination is huge. Now we got to go on to a different domination map potentially later on. Didn't see a lot of that Namor that I think was that we've seen in other regions and stuff. I know it's a potential, especially versus that Psylocke, versus, you know, a lot of these tank heroes. But I mean, Ego Death did just get kind of stomped on that second phase. It was close back and forth, but you know, it depends on where we go, and it depends on how much that Human Torch can get done on self side.
Yeah, and a well-deserved MVP here by Window, a rare Vanguard MVP, as a lot of the time we see that strategist role taking that, especially with Loki on the board there from Month, who did an incredible job there with the Loki with the most healing in the game. But Window, 23-2, 11 finals. You're, like we said, in those neutrals, anytime there was anyone available, even out of the sky, finding value with that right and left click combination, which is devastating, especially when you can double up your bubble and ensure that you have more of those right clicks ready.
Yep. A lot of that stuff is definitely important in terms of what he's been doing. I mean, Window, like you said, I mean, he's just kind of playing so out of his mind right now that they definitely could play around him. Like, it seems like Collusion, we talked about how he has a good Magneto, and that was sort of the odd part about Window joining Envy, is because they have a very similar hero pool, Collusion, Window, but the flexibility of Window has been massive for this team. We'll see if he can keep it up into the future maps and still be like a really good Magneto player. So today's a big day for all of these players, right? It is going to be all on the line, considering Envy right now really want to keep their tournament hopes alive and qualify for China. So it's not just a big day for Saba, it's also a big day for us over here at Marvel Rivals and these teams. We're going to go to a short break. We'll come back into this map number 2.
Judge, jury, executioner!
Trapping all those fighting souls, but yet across the world I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come fight me. Do you remember who you really are? Show me that you are still the only one for me. I'll be waiting for you. Playing out, hoping your fries, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters again, we are rebels till the end. Rise up, hoping your minds hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. We will clash, no matter where. We will fight, wishing across time and space. 'Cause you are my destiny to the end. You see the dawn, the flames burning brightly, shining on those memories. And yes, across all time I see you turning the tides. And do you see now our time, our turn? We can still fight like the wind and fire. And wonder no more that now is the only time your heart is mine. Light has fallen, darkness grows, and yes, we fight for our destiny and fate. New days smiling for the past and future. Break those chains, lead the way, fight with me.
Envy taking map 1, but what will be the choice of map, whether it's Convoy or Convergence from Ego Death, and will it play into their divey strategy?
I don't know. I mean, I think it might be over to that Convoy more than likely, but we'll see as it pans out for Ego Death. I know they want to play probably these maps that potentially you could play Black Panther in or Human Torch, right? You know, maybe we'll see what happens when they decide to play that later, or what map they'll play later.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
By the way, Shib, I don't know if you remember this, but I know that you've been doing a lot of co-streaming. I know you stream a lot yourself. Twitch drops are available. Just by the way, we do have those Magic Twitch drops currently right now. So if you are watching, you are currently eligible to getting that Magic skin. You know, you can watch right now. You can get that skin, man. And you talk about how good that skin looks, especially in that Dark Child, right?
Yeah, I love the color palette of these skins across the board. I'm excited to see who we're going to get next. The Magic skin, obviously, I grabbed that thing day one, been watching every minute of this tournament, which, you know, I'm just passionate about this scene. It's been a ton of fun to watch, but that Magic skin obviously does translate when you go into Dark Child. I love the look of how she looks in Dark Child with this layout. I think that these skins are slept on, and they are, you know, when you miss them, they're gone. So you got to get them now. 6 hours to get the skin. Do not miss out.
But Shib, does the skill of like somebody like Amazing, who is a notoriously good Magic player, transfer when I get that skin? That's the real question.
Yes.
They do. Okay. All right. You heard it here first. You magically become a better player when you equip that skin. Make sure to grab it. It's free too, totally free. So you can't really sue us for lying, because it's not like we force you to monetarily to get that skin. Anyways, next up we have map number 2. I don't know, Shib. I'm curious to see what they do plan on going to, because I don't know. Do you think they go to a map like a Rocco, maybe something like that, to give yourself that, like, you know, those flank potentials, those high grounds to kind of hide and just be like a nuisance on Human Torch or on Black Panther?
Yeah, I would expect to see Araco. I think it plays well into their diving composition. It gives you a lot of escape routes with those teleports, but maybe they've been working on something, right? These teams have studied each other. They have played before. Last time, obviously, Envy did take home that win 2-0, and I'm sure they've been doing their research. I think the ban phase is going to change a little bit. I wasn't 100% convinced with what happened there on ban 1, but, you know, you got to trust Coach Jitward, who has found some success and has looked really good in the past. As we move forward, let's see what they do.
You gotta trust Coach Jitward, even though he's been banned permanently. That's definitely the interesting fact about Ego Death. I don't know how much we want to actually talk about it, because there's a lot of free Jitward in the chat, I imagine. But you know what? If I didn't have any problems when he was in my game, you know, he's playing Spider-Man. I mean, he was feeding and we did lose, but you know, maybe that wasn't Jitward's fault. You know, maybe it was a team's fault. We let Jitward down. You know what I'm saying? That's really what. If you let your Spider-Man win tricks down, they don't let you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a team game, right? You know, you just gotta take your blame.
Take the blame. Yep, team div. That's probably what Jitward's saying. He said the bans weren't in my favor, guys. Maybe if you let me do the banning, we would have won this rank game. That's probably what he was saying in his head. But anyways, now we're coming into it. Ultron ban, Human Torch ban for Ego Death, getting rid of any potential like counter dive for the Human Torch again, which is going to get through.
Yeah, I don't think we're seeing too much change. So you're going to see a lot of this Stormlock here for the side of Envy, because that's where they found a lot of, you know, value against this team in the last time they had met up. And I think, yeah, it forces the Ultron ban, which we see there from the side of Ego. Obviously, you know, we talk about how this team has made it so far. An unsigned team led by their coach, who are feeling very confident. It is, you know, it's a Cinderella story. I'm sure they have a ton of fans in the chat who are excited to see them play, you know, this deep into the tournament, so close to getting to land and taking that 3rd spot. So exciting there. But, you know, we do see a change up in bans here. They're going to get rid of that Wolverine. Cal was running that Wolverine last time they had met up, and it was a problem. Cal, a mean Wolverine. Honestly, we've seen Cal on virtually everything. We even witnessed his first Magneto game yesterday, and he was landing every meteor. So he just got what it takes to fill these roles if need be.
You know, we go for that Emma ban on the opposite side as well. You know, just to make sure that Ego Death can't play that team up alongside the Psylocke that is now protected. But, you know, we have to talk about, you know, that Loki potential now to go through for Ego Death, and potentially if they're going to get rid of it as well. I mean, they've already banned out the Ultron, so maybe we can see that sort of POE. See the Emma Frost Protect makes sense because they did so well on it last time. I'm curious if they'll touch the Mag or that Magneto, but it's a lot of duelist focus today, Shiv.
Yeah, I agree. And Kalush is going to be back on the Emma there, obviously, with the lock in here. You're right, though. It seems to be very much let's lock out some of these duelists. Obviously, there's going to be focus there on the side of Speedery and Cal. So definitely a strategy they clearly believe in, right? So let's just see if it works out for them as we are at Central Park. This is not expected because last time they were here together, this is crazy because last time they were here, Envy pushed this all 3 points and Ego got held on point 1, but they're electing to defend first.
Yeah, I wonder why they picked this. I mean, maybe we saw because they had a close game versus 100 Thieves on this map, so it's definitely not a bad map for them, I guess, in terms of practice. So we'll see if it kind of shows on the main stage. On the opposite side, Envy, I think, has had the most Storm gameplay we've seen so far, right? I mean, it feels like on Central Park, this is definitely a staple for them to play that hero alongside the fact that, you know, Storm is just so strong in Speedly's hands. I don't know, Shib, I think that's probably the biggest takeaway I have. I'm curious what your take is on this. It feels like in this Ignite series, we've seen so many players that are really good at like one specific hero, right? It does feel that way, right? That it feels like there's so many heroes that have become a staple in terms of these players' hero pool, right? With Speedily on Storm, right? Amazing on Iron Man. You know, it does feel like this tournament really has doubly proved that, right?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we see a lot of that, and I think it's also just who shows up in the moment. I think all of us as viewers can get a little distracted is when we see success on a hero, we immediately assume, oh, that is their hero, but you never know how deep the pool goes. Is it a hero pool? Is it a hero puddle? Or is it a hero ocean? And I think a lot of these players have an ocean, which is very difficult to ban out. As you saw Terra, even for example, yesterday, they went very hard when the side of Ego Death of banning Terra out from 100 Thieves and still was able to find a ton of value there on Hela despite all of the ban outs. So that's an example of having a hero ocean that's just very difficult to ban out. Wow, that was almost a very early pick there on Ensemble from the side of Envy, excuse me.
And you're talking about how deep hero pool is right now. Ensemble, I mean, you definitely seen him on Venom so much, but oh no, Cal's there with that shotgun. He in the interview talked about how yesterday versus dive, you need to be on this Punisher to kind of deal with those Venom dives. Also selfs onto Iron Fist of all things, but he's just losing teammates left after or right, just left and right after one another.
Yeah, I think Envy is feeling really confident on this map. This is a decision I'm not 100% convinced on in terms of choosing this map. Wow, we're going to see Self here actually on the Fist. That does go down quickly. Kaluj finding a few picks there in the first fight. Here comes the teleport. The hold was long enough. Out go Crystals from the side of Ego as they're holding on. Speedery is going to be there on that Storm, and that Storm, a ton of value in pulling out cooldowns. Cal, great positioning here with the turret. Mump's going to find Zatex early as Envy is now up in numbers. Kaluj on a Soko. Sample finding a pick on a Cal, though. Nero going to turn that right back and find 2 more with 2 headshots. Nero, a mean hit scan strategist, finding value with a ton of backline heroes and getting those picks. Nice shots there by Nero.
Yeah, that character definitely has a huge improvement in that department, like you said, Shib. So we'll see what Ego Death opts to do. I mean, the Iron Fist we haven't seen work too much. I think we've seen one team pull it out and it worked successfully, but outside of that, I mean, it makes sense versus Flyers to play that Iron Fist. It's just easy to kind of track them down, but unfortunately he's just going to take a lot of perpetual damage from Storm. Meanwhile, early Hurricane pop from Speedily.
Yeah, and that's just going to pull out cooldowns. Up goes the Meteor. Good idea there, trying to lead.
We're here now.
But no, does not find value just yet. We see Far taking out Window early. Now for Ego, who are holding on. It will have ult advantage in this next fight. Envy going to be slowly but surely coming back. Speedery on his Atex. Now Cal with the Meteor from Soko back into Month and Cal. Nice turnaround there. Crystals clearly were burned, or that would have kept them up. The patience there was strong. Far
take care of some stuff.
Now running them back into the spawn door, but Sambo the only one with ult at this moment.
Definitely a staple of Soko so far, finding 2 with that Meteor M. He's going to need to keep doing stuff like that, maybe finding opening picks like Window has so
Steep
far.
Bands looking like
without that Emma Frost team up, considering, you know, you get a little bit more damage down range with that
Black Panther,
team up.
Ultron.
So, you know, we'll see how Soko tends to do, but he needs to definitely pop off for this team on Ego Death's side for them to have a chance.
Remember, folks, this is a best of 5, so it will not end here if Envy does clinch this up. Window with a 2-piece immediately on Ensemble and Self, and you may be saying, how does that right click come back so quick? If you pop the shield, every 100 damage onto the shield is 1 tick of that right click. If it fully is bursted, it's a complete reset. So make sure you're using that right click before your shield gets popped, and you'll have one ready again.
Fist?
Window,
what did I miss?
Again, Kaluj gonna find another pick, and wow, I don't think you can allow these Vanguards on Envy to get who they want. It's just finding so much value, especially into something like Venom, where Emma can just carbon crush and punt him into a wall. Kaluj on Ensemble. As I'm saying, that gets value. And here comes the Eternal Bond from the side of Ego. Will it hold on as Zatex takes out Speedery now? Numbers back in the favor of Ego, who will have more ults. Sabo coming back quickly. That is something Venom can do fast. Zatex does have that Goddess of Death, and I'm assuming that'll be popped here relatively quickly whenever they find themselves in a dangerous position. Here comes Self. Using
Why are we on Iron Fist?
A little bit. Soko gonna find Cal. Self on a window, and that's what you want to see if you're an Iron Fist fan.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that early pick, though, onto Speedily resulted in that sort of fight happening.
Whoa,
like
what
did.
is he
I mean,
doing?
Himself onto the Iron Fist,
chill,
just kind of
bro.
runs towards that spawn, but took advantage of the situation Ego Death was in. By the way, using both Strategist ultimates, though. So Envy, I mean, you got to feel somewhat comfortable about that. You still have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. You still have Strategist ultimates, but you do have Soko on the opposite side with that Meteor M. I mean, he could shut down everything once Hero and his overhealth goes away. We'll see how they deal with it. I mean, Window has been crazy with these opening picks and bubbles. We'll see what happens. Sambo, the early bubble on his side to save himself out there.
There's no counter right now. A strategist all, but not needed. Great positioning there. Window from downtown on the far. And can it be returned from Soko? Waiting on these crystals. Looking at Cal. Cal with a good avoidance there. Using that ultimate to I-frame the Meteor. Really smart play. Turn it right back and take out Soko. Return to sender. Beautiful
Nice.
play by
Very
Cal.
good combo by
Window
Envy.
on the Zatex. You're gonna
Very
see
good, very
Envy
good.
using everything
What's
now.
up,
There's no
Jermaine? How you doing
counter.
today,
At this
sir?
moment, down
Or
against
madam?
momentum from
I don't
Speedery.
discriminate.
Kluge gonna find
I duck.
Sambo, and Self falls, and that's gonna be point 2.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too much pressure on Soko there to find those picks. Zatex now swapping over to the Punisher, maybe just to get some more damage downrange alongside having that ultimate. Such a good ultimate in the game. Generally, just like that Punisher can run at you, just kind of smoke you. Depending on the situation you're in, that ult is just gets so much value, honestly, in general. So Envy, this team,
There's an
we'll
ult
see how
economy.
they can disengage when that ultimate does
You're
come online. But
looking
you called it
at-
out. I mean, Window has been popping off right now onto the Magneto. Map number 1, number 2. I mean, it seems like he hasn't slowed down.
A little too
Maybe asking
low.
yourself, why is this team pushed so far?
Explain.
Taking the space for those who may be climbing a ladder relatively early on. You want to try to own this space, forcing
We got
that card to
Loki,
have
we
free
have
movement
Venom,
without being
almost has
contested, and
CND
giving your team a
versus
lot of
pretty much nothing in terms of like
positioning
Loki's
advantage.
almost
They get
on
set up
pace.
here before they come back
Same with
into the
Mag.
fight. Here we go. Sambo gonna engage with that feast of the
No
abyss.
runes.
Not
I mean,
managed to find any picks just yet. Self trying to take this off angle, looking for the storm. Not able to find.
we should be
just
looking to
yet
kick
any
people
value.
off as
Window
Emma
gonna keep that
here.
pressure up, building towards the Meteor M, which
But
is
we can't really
now getting
grab
pretty close,
space
and he's
back,
up with it.
unfortunately.
Will it land? Looking towards the back line again.
Good
on the
block.
far, not going to find value just yet. Nero now and Speedery ready to press the
Very
Q
good
button as
block.
Kluge is going to start this psionic seduction and give them some free time to make these plays happen. Soko
Whoa.
finding a ton of value, not able to do it there. Speedery going to use that hurricane and finds far early. And that's a
Fortunate.
scary pick as you're losing these strategists. Now your front line falls as Kluge collapses onto Soko. Speedery onto Sambo, and there's no front
just,
line now. Zatex
yeah.
got clutch up, not able to do so as Cal finds 2 more, and that could be enough here.
He went for, like,
And
the
gets us to
heroic-
point 3.
I mean, you have the Feast of Invisible, but Sambo's going to have to delay for a long time against Cal in that Goddess.
I don't think they even touch, no.
1 meter left, nobody even gets on. He's pushed away.
It's unfortunate.
Magneto there, so regardless, great zoning from Team Envy. And that was just such a tough map for Ego Death Shib. It just felt like everything, every single corner, they just were not able to string together fights, whether it be window finding picks, whether it be the disengages of Meteor M's, and it almost worked out. Like, I was impressed with how far disengaged these ultimates from window every single time with the Eternal Bomb.
Now we can actually
Able
see
to
the
get away
bans.
just in the nick of time from window
So
in
Ego
Meteor
Death,
M. But at the same time, it
banned
didn't really
Iron
matter because
Fist.
it felt like every time Sambo was engaging, everybody
Okay.
has to kind of turn, focus on Sambo's dive, and then their strategists kind of get caught out after that. So it's
So,
it's a situation to
Iron
be in
Fist
for Ego Death
Psylocke
right
is
now, as they're
open?
constantly playing on
Or-
their back foot.
We're not
Yeah, I'm
playing.
not quite
Why
sure
is this
about
man? Why is
map
this man hovering
choice here. You know,
Spider-Man?
history repeated itself. It's the exact same situation where Envy pushes through 3 and then they hold them on point 1. We're gonna see something
Why is
change
my
here.
Hella
Obviously, the
hovering
bands are slightly
Spider-Man?
different and the composition is different, but I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this.
30 seconds before
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean,
Okay,
they
good.
locked that Human Torch. They
Good,
wanted to
good,
try
good,
to
good.
play the Iron Man along, or not the Iron Man, the Iron.
Yeah, what's
Fist
up, everybody?
alongside,
Appreciate everyone stopping by.
The Hella. But for them, it just didn't work out. I mean, they swapped off the Hella. They went to Punisher. I mean, you can kind of see the vibes, the idea behind it. But for
Again, we
the
do
ability
the
to
team
protect
up
Human
with
Torch
Penny
and
to
then
get
not
50
play is
extra
kinda
HP,
rough. So
opposed
I don't know,
to
maybe-
just
like,
the
I guess
Rocket
my
where you
problem
would
is,
get
like, I think Human
25,
Torch is a
so
great
this is
hero,
something you
like
should at least be
Bogart
doing
said,
in your,
but, you know, there's more to the game than just that, right?
your
There's
ranked
more
games
to
if
the
you
game
want
than just
to.
one hero.
You're
Like,
attacking
I
or
think
defending.
Personally, I
Okay.
think Human Torch can be at points kind of overrated, but we'll see how things.
We're
kind of
trading
progress
up the
moving forward.
Hella
You can see, you know, Storm
for
such a strong hero
Punisher.
in its own right. I mean, just kind of enables Envy to get so
They
much
let
damage
Cal
as
have
well.
Punisher, I'm not sure
Find early
why.
pickoffs and then have a Hurricane just to disrupt backline and maybe follow through on 2 eliminations after Shredder's ultimates were popped earlier.
Yeah, Envy and Speedery are the team that have been finding the most value with Storm. We talk about damage boost being so important right now in the meta. You're finding that when you have this damage boost, things like Cal here on the Punisher, that those shots, those hit scan shots are now far more valuable with the extra little.
Now,
bit
I
of
actually
no
don't
damage
know
just
if,
slowly
like,
getting away. That
Punisher
now
turret
goes out the
actually gets
window
damage boosted.
as you have
I haven't
damage
tested
boost.
it.
All those picks are getting you know, secured.
Like
So
if you could
do see a
Mantis
hold
damage
here from
boost
the
it,
beginning.
like
When
you
you're
Mantis
taking some minutes
boost
in
the
back end,
Punisher
maybe
while
say,
he's
"Well,
on
they
turret.
come out a little bit here."
If
The
it
goal is to
works
just
or not, I haven't
allow
actually
your
tested that to
strategist
see.
heal up until you get into a more
I don't think
dangerous
anyone's
position. Now,
really
you see
ever
the
tested
rotation
that.
over this natural cover, and that is how you need to play Vanguard at this level.
I think the difficulty right now as well for Ego.
I don't know if it does or not.
Feels like it's
Actually.
super strong in this meta.
Good
But
tempo
now
ult.
this fight goes in immediately, one shot speedily through the fate of the worlds.
Yeah, good play there by Self. Great positioning and timing, knowing that engagement window. Speaking of window,
So what Far did was he did a tempo ult into their backs, back, which is like what we've been seeing a lot lately with the Cloak and Dagger players. Is the Cloak and Dagger will always go for a tempo ult because, in theory, D&D should always have their ultimate before Luna. Not necessarily faster than Loki, but can. Bro's itching his eye.
When you have a Loki set up like that on high ground, that needs to go bye. You gotta get rid of that equipment. The turret in
There's a good swap to Strange though. Be back instantly. Make it back at 66.
Momentum found
What these shows do.
That could have been the saving
Guy look
grace
nothing
for Ego
around.
to stay alive on that objective, but right now we're gonna have to regroup around this Captain America. It should give them some, you know, extra survivability with that freedom charge, maybe to pop other ultimates as well. But Envy's also coming up on double shredded ultimates as well, so we'll see how Ego Death wants to do this. Those early picks from Self has been huge, but I mean, on the opposite side, you have
This
to
is
worry
so
about Cal, who
funny.
now has that final judgment.
Yeah, he hasn't left this point. He's been holding here forever, and this is just a super powerful position. Already has that.
The guy has some
final
move
ready
spots
to make
once,
a play, and that is
unfazed.
very difficult to power through, especially.
This is why if you're a duelist player, you should, all duelist players should know Strange at least. I think that's a good thing. It's probably a 3-0, unfortunately.
I think I'm with you on the map choice, Shib. We'll see with a minute left to go. I mean, there wasn't even that many ults popped. They just mucked the copy. But I think you made a good point how maybe, I don't know, this map choice is not panning out currently for Ego Death. I mean, I know it's probably going well in scripts and stuff, but as it stands, they have 54 seconds left to go. Pretty even in terms of ultimate charge right now. Everything is sort of favored for Envy, who fully capped out the map with a lot of time in the bank.
Don't say anything crazy.
I'm with you. I'm not quite convinced, right? I think this is exactly what we saw the last matchup here. We got to see Ego step up. Here comes Zatex with the final judgment. Sambo on him up. That's a good start here. Ego now up by 2 as Cal goes down. And ult's going to be used from Cal. Soko turns it back on to Nero, though. It looks like Ego is up heavy in numbers. No teleport to come through. They will get point 1. And that is what
It's so funny to see the face cams when people are playing Punisher.
Well played by Ego to pressure
Just
through
like he has like one hand off the keyboard.
Yep, absolutely. You know, king of cursing teams, because we talked about how Ego Death maybe on this map choice not the best, but you know, regardless, they were able to kind of close out through, pop those ultimates at the right time. I mean, that was excellent teamwork, like you mentioned, and you know, we're seeing maybe why they did pick the map, but they still only have 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the Streets phase. If you lose one fight, it's going to feel so close, especially even with that Doctor Strange portal. See what MB wants to do here as they're coming close to that Loki copy, and Momentum has his own. We'll see how they want to react. Maybe pop it early, commit that that early eternal bond to run towards Ego, or to run towards MB's backline.
I have to go back and check, but I believe Ego was down there on ult, so they just found more value, which is, you know, good on them. It's dangerous, especially when you're being on offense. When you're in the offensive position and you're walking in, you don't really have that positioning advantage. Momentum gonna find Kaluj. Ego keeping up the momentum they had from before. Speaking of momentum, looking for Speedery in the sky. We might see something here as Month on the side of Envy is gonna bring out the dance floor and hold on and just try to stall here around this corner, which is a defensible position. Self gonna find Speedery though, and then down goes another as Ego will
He's with finally off Venom.
and they do have the momentum now as we see the rest of the team slowly trickle away, and they are going to try to push this thing forward and have
Yeah, his feet getting banned every game.
But it wasn't banned. They banned BP.
Excellent work from Ego Death. They have to do it though, right
Interesting.
here. Envy coming back.
They
into
didn't play
Kaluj
it.
got kind of caught out there by Ego Death with that freedom charge. Just kind of chased down Kaluj on that back.
I mean, what the fuck is BP doing against this comp, to be fair?
His team and got definitely caught out. Now here comes this early supernova at the choke point from Self.
And the Hurricane comes out here for Speedery. Gonna walk directly in, waiting out that ultimate there from the side of Zaytek. So he's trying to keep the pressure out. Cal doing the same thing. Out go all of the defensible cooldowns. They are keeping pressure on the momentum's clones in the back. Good utilization there. And they are down again as Soko finds window. Ego.
I'm gonna have to wake up at like 2 a.m. to like watch party the Chinese land.
Oh fuck yeah, it's gonna be a weird time, isn't it?
I remember I woke up for Valorant. I don't know why. When it was in China, it was like 2 a.m. I don't know why.
Yeah, it definitely has, but I think that was excellently disengaged by Ego.
I like regret doing that.
Who eventually just kind of forced out too many cooldowns, right? Giving too many sustain abilities out early, and then just kind of had to clean up afterwards. It was almost there for Soko finding that pick onto Team Envy, but speedily evened it up. And now we're entering 20 or 12 seconds left to go. Sambo comes in with the Freedom Charge. They do have Summels to work with, but now it's into the Psionic Seduction.
Sambo going to use that Freedom Charge, and that's essentially a strategist ultimate, just dancing around the team, keeping everyone healthy. Good
with Cal playing
to counteract the side. Oh my.
1, 2, 3.
What, man? Can we? Oh, there's so many C9s. There's so many not touching the carts.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, why is everyone slowing down? Oof, that is tough. The entire team was too afraid of the Psionic Seduction, and that drove them backwards. Lost track of time. You can't do that at this level of play as they walk off. And Envy takes map 2.
Fighter.
I just don't want to see, you know, just bad Marvel rivals. It's not that they played bad. It's just like that last fight was just so unfortunate for sure, not touching the payload. It happens to the best of us, but now that they're down in an 0-2 deficit in their final chance to make it to this qualifiers, to make it to the LAN and to push forward into this tournament. Envy are one map.
I'm surprised they
away,
only
not
choose
from
B
Mantis
teams for a
but
LAN
going up
the
against
very
whoever
first
wins
tournament.
out of SDX and Techie XD
From each region.
yeah, is going to get
there's still like 5
we'll have to
regions.
see what happens then, but regardless, right now, I mean, Envy are so close to
Is
getting
there 4
done,
regions?
Shib,
I don't
and
know.
this team, they have the experience to do it as well. So I'd be definitely a bit scared
This
now.
is
moving
EMEA,
forward as they
NA,
move on to a convoy.
OCE.
Oh man, oh man.
Then there's it's Asia and Oceania.
Then it's Asia and China, right? China have their own as well.
No, China has like its own. It's not associated with Asia or Oceania. This is China.
Yeah. Okay. So there's 6 regions then. So the land should be quite big then, no?
I wanna. Where is it even at? No, it's in China.
Next thing you know, you just aren't on the point and you lose it, and that just cannot happen at this level. You mentioned, you know, maybe quote unquote bad Marvel rivals, but more so just the stuff that you can't do at this level of play if you want to move forward, and that is one of those situations. A lot of good plays on both sides. And
The Marvel Rivals Invitational 2025 China will be held at the Hall of the Jolly.
They were on a rampage and just kind of fell apart at the very end.
Yeah, I mean, there's always context, right? I'm
Sure.
somebody's gonna have to clip that, go back through and kind of see exactly what happened.
Okay, bro.
It's in space.
Seduction really screwed him over. Month is gonna take home that MVP. I mean, we see so many of these players just on strategist roles take home MVP after maps due to how the algorithm is and stuff. So fantastic work from Month. I think the strategist play so far in the tournament is at its peak. So he's definitely a player you have to watch for if you are an up-and-coming
Wait, the grand
player.
finals are in November?
I mean, Shib, yeah, it's tough. Like, in context, you're right. That Sonic Seduction
there's
pushed them off
different,
that payload, or at least stunned a lot of players that were intending to touch it.
segments.
Exactly. That they weren't left.
Oh, there's the mid-season finals, then there's stage.
Hey, listen, as somebody that's a part of, like, sometimes it can be like that, right? Sometimes it all
So,
takes is one guy
the
distracting
mid-season
everybody
finals, is that in
to
China?
push everybody off that payload. You know, I mean, I was a part
is it
of
only
one of
the
the
grand
worst
final?
C9s in history of esports and hero shooters. On the positive side, and it feels good when they don't touch that objective, when they don't touch that payload because of, in my case, Erster. So even though some people maybe
like
could be seen as feeding,
trying to figure this out.
maybe Kaluge a little bit too far forward with the Sonic Seduction or something, but if you're in a situation like that, a very intense situation, and you add another element to touching that payload, like you said, Shib, that 1 second of distraction can definitely get you stamped forward in the tournament.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think what was happening there is they were dancing to try to make sure they weren't getting hit by the Sonic Seduction, and then when they realized the
July
time, they probably
mid-season finals
peaked out
will take
and
place,
maybe were
allowing
caught by
top
Sonic
teams from
Seduction at the
championship
very last
into
second, which absolutely, you know,
spots in
turned the
Ignite
tides of that
stage
fight. That is
2. The
probably what
top
happened,
half
I would imagine,
from
which is
stage
the
1 will
difficulty in
automatically
gauging
qualify.
the timing in the length there of Sonic
up
Seduction. If you get a little bit of those ticker,
finals.
which it does grow over time, even if you fall away for a moment, it doesn't necessarily fall.
Yeah, this is stage 1, right? What we're watching right now.
Map 3. right after this break.
Oh, I thought they're supposed to play in China.
Yeah, so the top 3 of this is the top half, right? And then they go to stage 2, which is in China.
Oh,
I think, right?
I don't know. It doesn't actually say website. Insane, by the way. It's a very
The dusk, the lights gripping tightly, trapping all those fighting souls. But yet, across the world, I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we
duck smoking cig.
were friends. Night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come.
Sentinels versus 100.
Yeah. I think that's the winners. Others.
Techie for Shroud versus Shroudix is actually like a good game too. This Techie actually looks insane. Like they
They look decent against Sentinels. Yeah.
they beat FlyQuest, so
True.
FlyQuest lost to DCs.
nah,
Yeah,
They
that wasn't
beat 3
fortunate.
times.
unlucky. Should have paid
They were up-
the admins better.
True. They were up 2-0, and then every map afterwards they had a DC.
Yeah, I'm not.
Oh, really?
When it comes to the tech pauses, I
They're so
think
slow, aren't
it's
they?
because the spectators can't see the chat, so they can't like. Maybe it's like a stutter,
I don't know
or
why
he's
they
like actually DC'd.
Just give the captains of each team the ability to pause.
Yeah, or I was literally thinking like bring an admin into the Discord that they're in, just stay muted, and if they need to pause, just pause. Like how you would have like a actual LAN, someone like an admin in the team speak with you, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, pause it.
Yep. Give us a tech pause or something.
So, like, you're being up 2 maps and then losing all 3 maps because of the DC. 3
Yeah, that's-
times.
It's probably so fucking tilted.
I mean, again, it was just like the EMEA matches. Like, I still can't get over that all business game, bro, on Clintar. That was actually so sad. Is overtime's second point, they're trying to cap. The dude was literally DC, like he wasn't even up on like the top, like he was gone, like out of the match, and they still kept going. It's overtime, like a 5v6. They lost for that. It's like so
Oh
sad.
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was at like pause the game.
The one on Clintar.
Yeah, it was like pause the game.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck this.
Like bro was actually DC'd fair, and then he was back for the end screen. It was so sad.
Envy up by 2, but don't count out ego.
If this team give them Emma Mag again, I'm gonna scream.
Maybe. I mean, it's definitely in the cards. I think that
They get money. They like make the money call. Ego.
A solid coach.
Don't know. I imagine if you get to the playoffs, maybe you already get money. Like you guaranteed it.
To kind of stay on top. They talked
Maybe.
about how you have to act like a pro if you want to be a pro.
Get the Liquipedia up.
That's about maintaining
Oh,
that sort of posture, that steadfast, just ability to make the correct decisions and not panic. So right now for Ego, that's the major thing. Like, sure, what has happened is brutal. You didn't touch the cart, but it happens, right? It happens to the best of teams. It just happens in hero shooters, especially Marvel Rivals. I mean, the payload in this game, you have to cap it.
Wait.
That's a big thing. It can flip sides.
They're
It can
champions for
flip
Oceanic?
sides if you don't touch that objective and you don't control it. So there's a lot of things in Marvel Rivals and the hero shooter genre that
Round Zero Gaming have won.
alongside the fact that the cart-
Maybe they
every single cart
have
has
less
a
teams.
rectangle in terms of the hitbox, so
They got 30K for winning.
you don't touch it or whatever, you do touch it. I
Huh.
was watching,
And I'm pretty sure
the Oceanic qualifiers. There was a Mr.
the winners of
Fantastic
the
player
US.
in
Oh
the
wait,
early
they only get
stages of
70.
The Open qualifiers. I think this team went 0-9 or something, but they still qualified because the Oceanic region's funny. But this
Oh, it's
team had a Mr.
first, second, third, and
Fantastic player
fourth
in the
place.
Oceanic region. They were about to cap out. And they needed to stay on the cart, but the Mr. Fantastic pulled himself off the cart.
Okay, they all get
The
paid.
map ended because they lost.
All the teams.
Crazy things have happened before.
Yeah,
and
I would have
it's not
thought.
that Mr. Fantastic
Like,
player,
even if
that
you didn't get
guy's
to
gonna have to
playoffs,
live
all
with
the
that
team
for at
got
least the
paid.
rest of this year.
Yeah, that's brutal.
So just qualifying for Ignite gets you money then.
There's gonna be clips of that for days, probably sent to him 24/7. Yeah, I mean that's tough. The toughest
Like
part
13th to
is
16th got 5K, 9th to 12th 7.5K, 7th to 8th, which is Team Nemesis. FlyQuest got 10K, 56 is 15, 4th 20, 3rd 25, 2nd 35, 1st is 70.
I mean, it's
Sheesh. We better lock in for the next tourney.
Is that another hero we haven't seen? I think Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, right.
I haven't seen him. Yeah.
At all. Yeah, Mr. Fantastic, Thor.
Yeah, right, bro.
I just gotta quit my job and play every day for 6 hours.
Yeah, right, bro.
Weird interactions with Mr. Fantastic can happen. It was like an off-topic thing.
Make more money from you.
Like sometimes you accidentally on Mr. Fantastic bring a Doctor Strange to your team who has Aya Agamotto, and then you get your whole team Aya Agamotto. Like crazy stuff could happen like that, and I mean,
I feel like being a pro is probably overrated.
Nobody plays that.
I mean,
Truth be told, the horrible character.
that's what you wanted.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, pro.
You pay to play video games? I mean,
Yeah, but it'll take the fun out of it though.
I'm with you. I mean, there's a couple heroes that haven't been
guess.
chosen. What's that? Of course. Yeah.
Give a mag, not a.
Yeah. Across the states. That's it.
I'll drive over. I'll drive over to see the movie with you. That sounds fun.
And they also gave him
Day trip.
Storm. And Storm against them.
I think in New York to Arizona might be a bit of a hike, but
And Loki Convoy? Not
It's
banned.
like the distance between you and China, right? I mean, just the distance between America and China, right? Where all these players will be going. I mean, that
good
that might
segue.
be a lot of these. We haven't talked about that, by the way, at all. Like the fact that this will probably be a lot of these players' first time traveling to a new country.
Are they really scared of his
international
GP?
tournament for $500,000? Like that is a massive deal that's involved in the Ignite
I
series.
mean, why give him his one trick, you know? Like he's proven that he can fuck people up.
I think we talk about teams showing up here on the big stage, but
Oh, they're doing this shit, bro. They're doing the double cringe. They're going for the opening pick with Widow on attack, and they're doing the throw to Wolf. The Wolf brings the person literally all the way back to spawn, and then you literally, after
Yeah.
bringing the spawn, you walk to spawn and switch your character.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. There's no reason not to, I guess.
I mean, it's very good.
At least in this esport, we don't have a cat deciding the bans. You know what I mean? That's definitely a big deal. I think that we have the players having the agency with the protect and ban system because, by God, as somebody that had to deal with a cat choosing which heroes could be picked and banned during a certain week, I think I'll be triggered for the rest of my life. I'll tell you that much. And listen, I think there's a reason that my name is Dogman because now I'm gonna go find every cat. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna put a little fedora hat in front of them and tell, hey, pick a number, and maybe one of those numbers takes you to the vet one day, and you don't want to go there.
Nero,
Oh
bro.
my goodness! As we do
Oh, they got someone.
Yeah.
a consistent
I feel like I've heard Nero before.
Yeah, he's the Overwatch pro.
They are going to get rid of that MO, which did cause some problems, right? So that is going to be the change of pace that we see so far. Collusion
Dang on Wolf.
thing here, trying to help out with Cal. We took
Page
a
for
conversation of the fastball
a
specialist
Chinese team and San Francisco Shock, I think. Maybe someone else as well.
Like Overwatch 1?
a lot here in the pro scene. We may be
Yeah, I think so.
to protect, but also it's that team up.
I barely remember Overwatch. All I remember is Pine.
Absolutely. I mean,
Overwatch 1.
the strength of Wolverine
Insane.
also over here in North America. You can see exactly
Done.
why. I mean, Soko falls.
He had good
and
clips.
again, with
The
the
Korean
Shiv,
Widow.
I mean, Ego Death has fallen apart yet again.
Or, sorry, Cassidy.
That is some early pressure. Speedery gonna find one here. Cal onto far. Zatex turns around on Speedery. Nero though again onto Sobble. Cal onto Zatex all over the place now, and they have a ton of free space. Can they get back here with the teleport? Looks like they will.
Oh my god, why is that camera shaking so hard?
Typically see teams
Bro's
just
locked
wait
in.
a little bit until the reses come through. Now you engage with the portal at the last second, so your entirety of your team can have this fight. And out goes the
Portal
bond
spot's
to
kind of-
slow up the pace. Wolverine potentially looking for the tackle off the bond, but no, not able to get.
Like, that's what I'm.
anywhere.
You see, like, the map now?
Who does play Wolverine
Where I was talking about the portals? The top right, but then the bottom right hallway thing. Portal goes off.
Yeah, yeah.
Onto far. Good pick there for Window. Cal using that last stand onto Zatex. Window onto Momentum. And Envy are heavily up in numbers, and they will push this thing through point one.
Yeah, that's
Doing
tough.
a
I mean,
swap.
usually we've seen Far dodge those ultimates well. By the way, Cal and the spawn ready to go and switch.
Emoting at the
characters, do
door.
Something else. Nice little Jeff spray indeed.
Nice
Going
on
over the
hello.
top for the second phase of the map as things enter, you know, a bit more of not necessarily one-dimensional phase, but there's not a lot of flank angles here on this point of the map in second phase Aegis path. We just have that top left window, and that's kind of about it. So this phase pretty much open, and that's kind of a good spot, honestly, for things like that Winter Soldier, and right now for this Storm, who has that right side peek angle.
Yeah, this is a defensible position here.
Did you listen to the? I didn't listen to the interview Cal gave yesterday.
I did actually. I listened to some of it, like the second half of it.
Like the reason why he was benched was because he wasn't performing like the past few days. And he's told the coach like, put me in, coach. And he did.
Yep. Enter the zone. Speeder here trying to get some all-charge back. Storm does that incredibly quickly as they do set up for a next fight.
Yeah, definitely on this side of the point, we see,
Wait, what?
plays by Cal and onto far. He's going to go down early. I mean, he's able to kind of control that sort of right side peeking that we were talking about earlier. In this game, obviously, you peek over the right side shoulder of the character model, which can create, attacker-sided advantage, especially in Digital Path, as you have to, like, play back and don't have those right side peeks that Envy does. And they're taking full advantage. 3 minutes left.
Bit rate better not be, like, terrible for the land.
Right and left shoulder. That could be huge. Maybe potential update later on.
I better be able to see what's happening.
Why is Kludrum thing and window on? Right.
I don't know. Ooh. Don't know. Emma's banned. Or was it like Emma one trick, I guess? That's so funny. Fucking the face of Captain America just popped up. Ooh. Are we on?
Wait. Amato's no longer on 100 Thieves.
Who?
Focus.
Right now that they have to get some sort of momentum. I mean, you see even pull
Don't know
the
who got it.
backside. Soko does find speedily, but he's gonna go
Who's one of
down.
the Gundam
Have that
guys?
teleport back
Oh.
to spawn regardless. Right now, Ego Death.
It was SJ. Was he a strategist for them?
He was a DPS sub player.
Oh, because I was thinking I never saw him play once.
Entirety of the momentum has gone in favor of Envy, not momentum on the side of Ego Death. So 3 minutes and 15 seconds left to go. We'll see if momentum in his team can come back.
Yeah, Ego is holding on to a slight.
He's a DPS sub, you said?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you have Terra and Delena. I thought Millennia or whatever was his sub.
I don't know what happened to Amano. I guess he's off the team now.
They ain't trying to split the money with them. That's crazy, bro. That's...
At this point, nobody on Strange. Speeder finding Sambo to clean up, and they are pressing through with 2 minutes and 32 on the clock.
I mean, that could be a reason. Who knows?
Have to find some momentum. Window right now has that Meteor M as well to connect onto either Far or the Loki player of Ego Death, because I've said momentum.
I wonder if subs get like paychecks, like
they do.
Active roster. Oh, they do. Probably less though, no?
Yeah, they get less.
Yeah, I don't know. 100 Thieves might like actually pay them good.
You gotta keep that in mind and hold on to that push for that moment. Collusion with ready with clobbering time again. Found value last time. Will it happen? No. Down goes Collusion early as Ego's now retaking this space back. But we do see
Like if I got picked up at the org, it'd be like Sentinels or 100 Thieves. Probably the people that would pay. The best.
That's a great counter here up with the Meteor M on the Speedery, eating some of that damage there from the side of Cal. Soko.
I think Envy threw loads of money at people.
It's so weird because
That's how they got Kalu, just because they just paid a lot more than Sentinels.
yeah, it was so weird because I hadn't heard about Envy in like the longest time.
Well, they were Optic. Team Optic.
No, there's Envy and there's Optic.
Yeah, they became they like merged. Envy became Optic. They're like the same team as Optic.
Oh yeah, they did.
Oh, like Optic
that.
bought Envy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
don't know how they came back.
Did they like buy out or something?
I don't know.
Because if they're, I'm surprised they're not. Maybe Optic doesn't want to be affiliated with the game, but I don't know. Because I know Optic's big, but like, I remember Envy like.
Envy used to be big as well.
Yeah, they were big in COD. I remember, like back in the day.
They both.
I mean,
Yeah.
so was Optic, but.
I think they Optic owns the name Envy, but they could still field like both teams, Optic and Envy.
Oh, I see.
It's
So they like bought the
But
brand.
they're-
They didn't.
Yeah, they're basically the same team though.
oh.
Bro, focus. We could pick up Amato. Hit him up.
Yeah, that would be the day.
Has it again?
Amato and Red Protocol. Get the Gundam guy together.
It's your last second.
Yeah, last second part 2. Last second Omni merge.
Call it the last dance, bro.
Must be such a weird feeling, by the way, of getting paid like a certain amount of money to like, obviously to play pro. Like you literally don't have to work. It's fucking crazy.
I just haven't seen Amato on the game in a while.
They just keep faltering at the worst possible time.
I would say the big thing, like when being pro, like you also have to make your own brand at the same time, just as fast as you can.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
That's what a lot of like pros don't do.
Strategists have so much pressure on them right now. I mean, it looks
It's so
Just
easy
kinda-
to get into just like a free org on that.
Yeah, like you have everything. It's like some people don't take that opportunity though, which is insane.
It's like an alley-oop almost. It's like, oh, you're pro and you're getting paid for it. Like, now's the time to set up a Twitch profile and start fucking
Stream
shooting.
ranks, make money.
Yeah, exactly
Make
that.
YouTube videos,
Like-
guides.
Like, they're gonna recognize your name, and oh, you're streaming on Twitch and it's a pro player. Like, there you go.